Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here, and welcome back to another episode of American Truck Simulator. And when we last left off, we were doing our heavy hauls, our special transports, and we got the dumper completely done. Today I wanted to do, something that we haven't done before, and there was an achievement to deliver a turnkey house, completely unscathed. It's going to take us around from Yuma to Tucson, right on the southern part of Arizona. Looks good. Let's go ahead and take that job. I don't know what the travel time for this is going to be, but it's expected Friday between 1:30 and, later that Monday night. Should be fine. We should get a nice sunset if we do have to drive a bit. Plus, we can get an achievement, and then we'll be one transport closer to completing all 11 heavy hauls. So, looking forward to that. Hopefully the turnkey house isn't too wide. I've got an image in my head of a complete house. Like, all you got to do is just drop it off the trailer and the house is ready to go. Let's take a look-see at what this turnkey house even looks like. I've never seen it before. So yes, indeed, it looks like it is a house ready to go. We're in the Kenworth 900L, which is what I'm used to doing. Nice, the news is there. Looks like it's got some windows. It's got an air conditioning. Yeah, it kind of looks like it reminds me a lot of a construction contractor trailer, like when you got a construction project coming up and you need a place for all the contractors to meet and eat lunch and all that good stuff. Like, this is what it kind of reminds me of, like a double wide trailer or whatnot. Of course, we will do exactly as we need to do here. Let's go ahead and start up the truck. Get our cruise control ready to go. Parking brake off. And exactly how are we going to get out of here, I wonder? Kind of looks like it wants us to go around the block a bit, which is fine. Hopefully the police vehicles are over here. I didn't exactly see where the police were going to be meeting us, but we're loaded up in the back. Hopefully we don't take out this station wagon. We have to make sure that we deliver this as carefully as possible. Although I think with 1% damage we can get away with it like we could last time. But I definitely don't want to take any chances and just throw caution to the wind and reckless abandon. Because abandoned houses are no good. And there we go. We're out on the open road. Made our turn off. We just have to loop around for some strange reason, but we can handle that. And it's been a while since we've been to Yuma. I don't actually remember when we discovered Yuma, what episode that was, but I guarantee we haven't been in this part of Yuma before. And I know those power poles are extremely solid. We definitely don't want to go hitting those. It's 25 miles an hour through here anyway. I wish they would clear the road. I mean, we've got an entire house coming through. All right, we'll be making a left turn here. And they have indeed stopped traffic. And there's the construction workers watching it go by. Hey, good job, buddy. Thank you, thank you. And thank you, Semi, for pulling over to the right as much as you did. It is greatly appreciated. Awful close to that guardrail, however. This is kind of narrow. I want to get out onto the highway, please. We're just barely fitting through here. It's extremely wide. Excuse me, officer. Road work? Well, for crying out loud. So not only are we on a 2-lane road, but we're on a narrow 2-lane road. Thankfully, nothing's coming the other way, but officer, I need you to get up there to the exit as soon as possible, please. I don't want to take a chance of this semi coming around, and he's going to. So we need to get down this ramp quick, fast, and in a hurry. Swinger wide, and down the ramp we go. All right, once we get onto a multi-lane highway, we should be fine. No traffic coming from the back. That is handy. And I'll just set the cruise for 40, ride in 17th gear. You could probably drop it down to 18th. Maybe we'll get some hills. Yeah, we'll just crest over this hill and we should be good to go. We might not be able to ride in 18th. We might have to go to 17th or 16th. But we'll just see how this hill treats us here. Should be fine though. All right, entering Arizona. So we actually picked up the load in Nevada, I guess. 75 mile an hour speed limit. I mean, in a perfect world, wouldn't that be nice? And we didn't discover... Okay, so we probably passed through on this side of the highway. Still, that side on the left is an undiscovered bit of road, which is kind of annoying for the OCD people. But, you know, what can you do? And I am sort of blocking both sides of the road here. This house is sticking over quite a bit. Allow me to move on over there, you impatient Crown Victoria. But thankfully the desert is pretty wide open. We don't have to worry about anything on our right really impeding our way. But just take a look at this thing and how far she sticks off the side. Yeah, very cool indeed. Sorry, Dodge Ram. But if I were you, I wouldn't be passing a semi with a house on it. Just saying. It kind of reminds me of Mickey's Trailer, that old cartoon where Goofy was driving and completely oblivious to everything that was going on in the trailer, and Mickey and Donald were, you know, flopping around and crashing down the side of a cliff, and Goofy was just driving along, and the trailer ends up connecting right at the end of their trip, and everything is all destroyed inside. That's kind of what I feel here. I feel like Mickey and Donald are in the back, and at any second this thing is going to go flying down a cliff, but we'll try not to let that happen today. So I hope your weekend went well. I don't know how mine is going to be. As I say, each week I record this right before each weekend, so I don't know how this weekend's going to go, but I'm not scheduled to work as of yet, so should be able to get some more recording done. What I usually do is record Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on one night, and then I record for Thursday, Friday on the other. That way I can balance out and still do what I want to do and not spend, you know, eight hours straight recording. I try to avoid that and not get burned out on these games, so I don't record for more than 1 week, unless I know it's going to be a stupid week, but I have to have advanced knowledge of that. And as of now, it doesn't look like the week after next is stupid, so I'll maintain my schedule as per usual. But if you still tune in each and every episode, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. One thing that I want to do, and I don't know if I'm going to record it or not, but here recently I bought X-Plane 11 on the Steam sale. I think it was 25% off or something like that. I got it for $30 rather than 50 or 60, whatever it was, $35. Either way, I got a deal on it. And as a simulator fan, I'm also a big fan of flight simulators. I think most people who do simulation, which, I mean, I've got Truck Sim, Motorsport Manager, which is kind of a management sim. I enjoy Sim, so it wouldn't be out of the realm of, you know, surprise that I get X-Plane, but they have a plane maker in which you, if you are skilled enough, it's not something that everyone can do, and it's not intuitive. It's not something that's easily apparent on how to do. I mean, there's tutorials online and everything, but there's a lot of fine steps that must be taken. But I want to make my own plane in X-Plane 11. One thing that I would like to do is, once I get that plane done, maybe fly around the world as a series. Each week fly, you know, maybe a half hour or 45 minutes, and you know, that could be a very long running series. Fly through, you know, mainland Asia, through Europe, North America, down to South Australia. Just sort of see the world in X-Plane. And the plane that I would like to build has been built before, but not at I guess a release quality or an extremely high quality that it looks like it was done by a studio. But I want to make the Sea Duck from Tailspin. Seaplane, I forget which two planes that it was kind of modeled after, but if you were a kid in the 90s or even a kid today and watch Toon Disney, you're probably familiar with that yellow and red plane, but I want to sit down and actually try to make that thing. Now, it's not a jet. It won't circumnavigate the world with a quickness like an SR-71 or something like really, really fast. But it would be good to land on, especially like island hopping, kind of like what they did in the actual, Tailspin series, Cape Suzette, and, a lot of water around. Might be pretty cool. But like I said, it's something that is going to take a lot of time to do it right. I could probably whip up the model really quickly, even tonight, throw like a haphazard skin on it, give it a 2D cockpit with the stock X-Plane controls and fly it. Sure, but that's what the other people, it looks like, have done. So I have found cockpit drawings from the show and a layout of what switch does what lever does what, and I want to model that. And I think I'm up to the task, but it's not going to be one of those things that, hey, next week, stay tuned, I'll have the C-Duct completely built and we're going around the world. No, nothing like that. It'll probably be like a month from now, I'll be doing an American truck video where I'm like, yeah, it's harder than I thought. I've got the shell model, but the cockpit is giving me headaches, and the scripting for the levers to do that, or the animations aren't right. Like, it's going to be a long, drawn-out process, but I think it will be really cool when it's done. A really cool homage to, kids my age who grew up watching Tailspin and thought, I want to fly that plane. And we can, if I do it well. And it may be one of those things, I have a very bad habit of starting big projects. Like, I don't think small when I do projects. I always think like, well, I want this to be big. Like, I want this to be complete. I guess the exception to that rule was Skyrim modding, just putting in weapons and whatnot. But the reason I never started a quest mod is because I'm like, I want like an involved quest. Like, I want a 12 or 13 hour quest, of branching and all that good stuff. I want people to talk about it and say that was really well done. But, I either run into a wall where I don't know how to solve my problem and just give up, or I just lose interest and go do something else. So I think if I just pace myself on the C-Duct, come to it, once or twice a week, work on it for 3 or 4 hours at a time, and just slowly go at it, even if it's not done by the end of the year, it's something that I can maybe show progress on or get some interest in or some feedback as I go through. I'm known for my tutorials. Well, I'd like to think I'm known for my tutorials. I started off with the Hearts of Iron 4 Iraq campaign where it was kind of a tutorial. It wasn't labeled as such, but, step by step, very slow gameplay. That's just how I am when I play games. It's very slow, methodical. I don't like to rush. I like to think through things. And I think that kind of mindset goes well with building a plane as realistically as possible. And I say realistic like it's a cartoon plane. But I think there's enough there that it could be, if you loaded up X-Plane and flew this plane, you're like, it looks and feels like the cartoon. Like, I know Baloo flipped this switch and it's supposed to do this. And by George, it does it. So that's kind of what I want to do. Is I want, like, fans of the series to sit down and say, if I flip that switch, I know what's supposed to happen. And it does. Like, that's an ultimate dream of mine. And, being a sim fan, I like flipping switches, I like pushing buttons, and I like them to do what they're actually supposed to do. Like, I want a 3D mouse in American Truck where I reach down and I actually interact with the lights and flip the switches and turn on the traction control and, all that other stuff. I want to be able to zoom in and see all my gauges. Like, it's kind of cool. Like, that's what excites me. And I know games like, I shouldn't even call them games, but sims like DCS, Digital Combat Simulator. Those things are on another level. Like, every switch does exactly what it's supposed to do, and that's what I strive for when I do stuff. I don't want to halfway do anything when I create, because then it's like people are saying, well, this is garbage, this is bad, and, you know, I want to put some time into it. I don't want another Roval incident where, you know, people are criticizing the crap out of it because it's not 100%, and sim fans, they are that way. And I can see why, because when you tout something as a simulator, you want it to be real life. You want to look down and know exactly what a button does or how something should behave. You get into games like American Truck here where it's sort of a general feel. Like, you get the feeling of trucking, but it's not like you can't drive this for 1,000 hours and get your CDL. Now, granted, you can park a trailer pretty well. If you spent time in this game, I have no doubt you know about wide turns, you know about backing trailers, you know about blind spots, because that's inherent with the size of the vehicle. But you don't get the shifting loads, you don't get, you know, the unexpected things. You don't have to worry about... What vehicle did I crash? Did I just scrape it? All right, let's check for damage. Good, nothing. So I'll take 900 bucks. Oh, sorry. Let's just consider that the price of doing business. But see, things like that, if I really did drive that house into the car, you know, that's insurance and whatnot, that's things you have to be careful for. And I get the appeal where you have to do mass release. You have to say, if everyone picked up this game, could they have fun with it? Or if people wanted to just relax, that's cool. But I'm also a fan of those sims that are like, if you forget to flip this switch, that's your battery, and eventually your battery is going to drain because you didn't turn your alternator on and you're going to crash. Like, that is cool to me. The idea of like making sure that everything is operating as it should be. That's just why I enjoy it. It's not for everybody. That's why simulation games are, you can consider them a niche. They're growing in popularity thanks to games like American Truck that are, you know, approachable, very approachable. If you've got a basic steering wheel, you know, you can have a lot of fun, or a joystick. You know, some people might want to drive with a joystick. I know when I raced NASCAR racing, way back when, we're talking NASCAR Racing 1, like MS-DOS NASCAR Racing, I drove with a joystick. It was a simple 2-button, 4-axis joystick, or 2-axis joystick, you know, X and Y. The stick didn't rotate, you didn't have a rudder, and it was just your trigger button and 1 button on the top, and that's what I use for gas and brake. So, you know, that's how some people start. And games like that, like this, are approachable when you allow for that, you know, that amount of customization. It gets people interested, and in fact, guys like Squirrel do videos of, now that you're ready to go take your sim to the next level, what wheels should I buy? What peripherals really add to the experience? How far can I take the simulation if I want to? And that's cool to have a game that is expandable like this. But I think it's also very cool that there are sims out there like DCS where if you think you're going to play it with a keyboard, you are wrong. You will not. You cannot, you should not, and it's not going to work. Like, it's for the people who have already invested a lot of time and expect a lot out of their sims to be rewarded with, you know, a sim that behaves as close to real life as possible. One thing I haven't done, speaking of as close to real life as possible, is take X-Plane 11 into VR. Lane change maneuver. Let's slow her up. All right, up you go. We'll give it a few downshifts here and get back up to 40. We've got an hour and a half to go. So we should be there around 6:40 p.m. Before the next episode, I'll go ahead and sleep so we get a nice daytime run. Come on, let's get up this hill. But like I was saying, I haven't gone, what's another lane change for? I guess we're getting in the right lane, I assume. Yep. Lead car goes, then trail car goes, and then we just merge on over. You know what, I'll just keep it in 16th gear, keep the RPMs up. It looks like we're going uphill a bit. But like I was saying, I haven't gone into X-Plane with the Oculus Rift and Oculus Touch. They do have VR support where you can actually interact with the controls, the stick, the doors, everything in VR with the hands. Like, if you have an Oculus Touch, you don't need a joystick to play X-Plane in VR because everything you need is right there in the cockpit as it would be in real life. So, you know, that going that direction makes me excited. I haven't tried it yet. My computer is in a very difficult place to access the back, and whenever you hook up the Oculus, you need your HDMI and you need a USB, and then you need a USB for your sensors, and I've got 2 sensors, so that's 2 more USBs in the back, plus the USB for the Oculus itself. So a lot of getting in the back and running cable and all that other stuff, and I don't have a room dedicated to VR. I don't have a wide open space. That's why I didn't get the Vive, despite all of the positive things I've heard about the Vive and how, you know, intuitive the controls were and everything. I just didn't have the room to set up a complete room scale experience. So for sitting experiences like Sims, driving Sims, flying Sims, Star Trek Bridge Commander, or whatever it's called. Not Bridge Commander, that's an old game. But Bridge Crew, that's what it was. It's perfect. You know, the seated position where you don't get out of your chair is just fine. Just fine indeed. And how about that? I turned on my lights without turning on my windshield wipers. I almost pushed the windshield wiper button. And you know what could solve that? If I could reach down with my mouse and actually push the light switch. You know, that way I wouldn't accidentally turn on my wipers because I pushed the wrong key that I found. I mean, it is a lot of work to do a fully modeled cockpit, if you will. I wouldn't call this exactly a cockpit of a truck, but you know, the driver's cab, the compartment. In order to make every single switch flippable and make sure that every switch does exactly what it's supposed to do, you know, you need to code that. You need to have lines of code that say that, you know, when you flip this switch, it is attached to the headlights. When you flip this switch, it is attached to traction control. And if you don't have a traction control in the game, I know this thing has diff lock, but I don't exactly think it has traction control. That's something that would have to be added in the base game as a feature before you can even point the code to that. You know, so, you know, it's a lot of work. And I'm sure SCS didn't set out to say, if you drive our game, if you play our sim, we guarantee you will pass trucking school, because you will know everything you already need to know by the time you get there. It's not that level of sim. But, you know, sims like X-Plane that are used as engines in full motion simulators, you know, it does have the ability to code functions like that and switches like that, and you know, it's very robust in what it can do, and you know, it's, you know, licensed by the FAA. You know, it's something that if you have the full version and a full motion sim and a special key that you have to put in to say, yes, I'm using this for flight training purposes, you know. And I think absolutely you could get an X-Plane in a very good aircraft where everything is modeled accurately, in a cockpit where every switch does what it's supposed to do, and you could just hop right into a real plane. Now, your stomach might not be ready for it. The abrupt, like, dips, and, you know, that's where full motion rigs come into play to sort of get you used to the dips and bobs and dives that airplanes feel, that a full motion sim can sort of, like, jiggle you a bit and, you know, drop you a little bit. But unless you want to go to Boeing or flight museums that have like a full pilot trainer, you're not going to get that experience at home. Those things take up the size of a room or bigger. All right, left turn here, Clyde, and that bus is going to be in the way, because of course he is. All right, let's take this as wide as we can. Almost go careening off the cliff. We'll round it back out as straight as we can. We're good on the right. We can scooch over a bit. How about that? So, had I been in an actual semi with an actual house on my back, could I have done that? I don't know. I do not know. I know Squirrel, when he went to Scania, he got to drive an actual 18-wheeler for the first time. And he did pretty well because, you know, you're used to driving with a trailer in an American truck, and it's going to behave more or less like it does in this sim. So it's something that, you know, you just hop into and you get practicing a lot, and all of a sudden it just becomes muscle memory, second nature. Okay, so we're going into the building supply place. And it looks like it's fairly straight on. Yes, indeed. About as straight as an arrow. Can't get any better than that. All right, don't cut that corner, please. There we go. And we'll just nuzzle that right on in there. But thank you for riding along with me today and talking about simulation as a whole. Can we get the house in? There we go. All right, drop of the cargo. We should get our achievement for delivering a house scot-free. There we go. So home sweet home, we delivered the turnkey house without any damage, and we are over halfway through now with the special transports, and we got a skill point, which now we're going fuel economy. It is the only thing that we can put into. So now we've got 15% fuel savings, then 20, 25, 30, and 35% savings. So the next 4 levels are actually going to mean something. Everything after that won't. But that's going to do it for me and this episode of American Truck Sim. Ladies and gentlemen, like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next American Truck Sim video. Take care.